Rain, sleet, snow, pets, people, they all take a toll on your wood deck. And over time, it's going to become very noticeable. At this point, this is where you might want to think about restaining your deck, or in some cases, repairing it. So on this short video, we're going to give you some tips about how to take care of your wood deck. I'm Dan Frost from H.D.F. Painting, the fine art of painting, and this is Talk Shop with Frost. What is the ideal weather to restain your deck? Ideally, it would be 4 cloudy days with temperature between 50 and 70 degrees. And the reason I say that is you don't want any moisture to affect your process. So that's the first tip to keep in mind. Second tip to keep in mind is when you apply your product, you try not to do it in direct sunlight. I know that's a challenge because you want to do it in the spring, you want to do it in the summer, but try to do it early in the morning or later in the afternoon when the sun's down, because direct sunlight will affect the drying of the deck and it might leave lap marks. Just keep that in mind. So before I delve into the whole preparation of your natural wood deck, I want to mention a couple things. Number one, it's really important to know your substrate. In other words, what's the deck made of? Now in our area, the 4 most common wood decks are pressure treated, fir, mahogany, or red cedar. And it's really important to know what your deck is made of. Now the other thing, this is not a real factor in restaining a deck, but if anyone builds a new deck, make sure, this never happens, I see it all the time, but make sure you seal all 6 sides of your product, of your decking before you build it, okay? Then you're in really good shape. So preparation, what do you need? Well, you need to inspect the deck. You need to look at it, make sure it's clean of dirt and mold and mildew. Check if any nails are popping, you want to reset those nails. And if there's any bit of peeling, you want to sand it. I mean, us professionals, we use the Festool sanders, but you can use an orbital sander or even hand sand if you want, just to make sure there's no cracking or splitting. After you inspect the deck, you're ready to go. Okay, so now you're ready to apply your product. You've done your inspection of the deck, you've done your preparation, you're all set. What do you need? Well, first you need to decide what you're going to apply it with, all right? You can apply it with a synthetic brush if you want, a 4-inch synthetic brush. You can apply it with a pad that they make, and you can just roll that out. You can apply it with a roller if you want, whatever you're comfortable with. But one of the keys when you're applying the stain is to take a section, maybe 4 boards, and take it all the way across so you don't get any lap marks. And then come back, do 4 more, come back and do 4 more, and then you're all set. A couple other things you might want to have handy is you might use some gloves and have some rags available, okay? And it's pretty much basic after that. It's just a little bit of elbow grease and hard work and a little sweat and you're all set. Okay, so you've applied your first coat and you want to put a second coat on. How long should you wait? Well, ideally, there are some products you can do wet on wet right away. They're waterborne products. Other products, they say wait 4 hours. If you're using an oil-based product, I would wait a good 24 hours to restain. Now, one of the common problems we see is overstaining, like applying 2 coats and then applying a 3rd coat. And what happens is, especially with oil stain, there's no place for that oil to go after you have the first couple coats on that way. And then it'll show some flashing, what looks like flashing. There'll be areas that have a higher gloss than another area. and that's because there's no place for that oil to go. So don't overcoat your deck. And it's basically a maintenance coat idea. In other words, put a couple coats on, wait a couple of years, put another coat on, and you have to do it every 2 or 3 or 4 years. Every year, just take a look at your deck, and maintenance coating is very key. So, if you found this video helpful, which I'm hoping you did, please hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'll be happy to answer those. This is Dan Frost from H.D.F Painting, the fine art of painting, and this is Talk Shop with Frost.